We had two more games in the Gold Cup happen yesterday, and they have some pretty significant ramifications. I'm talking about Guatemala upsetting Canada, the upset of the tournament on penalties, and the U.S. men's national team narrowly surviving a scare against Costa Rica, winning on penalties. Now, full transparency, I did not get to watch these games in full because your boy was flying. I arrived at 5 o'clock in the morning back in the States today, so I'm a little groggy. I apologize if the energy's low, but I do want to talk about these games. And so because I didn't watch the full 90 minutes, I'm mainly going to be talking about what the stories are for these four teams involved and kind of what the takeaways are for the teams that are advancing to the semis, and also the two teams in Canada and Costa Rica who have been eliminated. Before we get started, y'all know I have to say it. If you like videos about the Gold Cup, if you like videos about CONCACAF, if your favorite team is in CONCACAF, if you're just interested in football in the region, make sure you're subscribed because I've been covering the tournament up until now. I got a semifinal prediction dropping soon. We'll do a live watch along for at least one of the semifinals, and then we got CONCACAF World Cup qualifying, so plenty of stuff dropping here on the channel. I don't want you guys to miss that. And of course, if you could smash the like button, that would be much appreciated. And very quickly, I do want to say thank you guys for helping us get to 18,000 subs. That's pretty sick. We have a long way to go in this footy revolution that I'm trying to spearhead, but still, this is a milestone, and I want to say thank you. We're just going to go team by team here, and I got to start with Canada, and I'm going to pose the question, is this the most embarrassing and the most damaging elimination of all teams who have bowed out so far? Because I kind of think the argument is between them or Jamaica and probably Panama. Those are the three teams that you look at the reputation they had and you're like, you guys probably took a hit from this Gold Cup. But I think the Canadians have an argument to have taken the biggest hit, at least reputation-wise. And I'll touch on that more in a second. But it's just insane to me that Canada, this is a fact, Canada did better at the Copa America than they did at the CONCACAF Gold Cup. Somebody make that make sense. What is the takeaway there? CONCACAF is clear? Some of you guys will think that. It just is astounding to me. And this is the second straight quarterfinal at the Gold Cup where Canada's been eliminated. Only this time, it's 15 times worse because y'all brought the A team. You don't have the same B team excuse. You're not losing to the United States like you did in 2023. You brought the A team. Yes, there were omissions from the squad. Guatemala were also missing their starting goalkeeper, but let's not even go there. And you bow out on pens to Guatemala. And there's no friendly way to put what I'm about to say. Canada not making a semifinal is a massive, colossal L. Now, for this loss, and like many losses, many things can be true at the same time. Number one, Canada were the better side when it was 11-11. Number two, the red card completely changes the game, as it tends to do. And number three, Guatemala were by far the better side in the second half. Now, is the red card an excuse? For me, personally, absolutely not. What is this, junior varsity? You get to use a red card as an excuse. Did the U.S. get to use Tim Weah's red card as an excuse when they got grouped at the Copa America? I don't think so. I don't remember us taking it easy on the Yanks after they were eliminated. So why would we do the same thing here with Canada? And let's stop dicking around, y'all. If the United States lost to Guatemala in the quarterfinal of the Gold Cup, or God forbid Mexico loses to Guatemala in the quarterfinals of a Gold Cup, hell would freeze over. Oh, the media firestorm would be like, well, especially in Mexico, would be unlike anything we've ever seen. Aguirre would be sacked, 100%. Poch would probably be sacked. There'd be an apology tour from all the players, and it would be the biggest result in Guatemalan history, arguably. And so, Canadians, if you want to be taken seriously, if you want to be regarded as a big boy in CONCACAF, you want to be one of the giants, one of the gigantes, you want to be the kings, then you must be judged as a king. We're not going to judge you as some random men-at-arms. No, you're going to be judged like a king. And for the king expectations this side had, where I feel like they were the number 2 favorite coming in here. A lot of y'all had Canada picked to win. And to not even make the semifinal, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. There's no other way to put it. And Jesse Marsch, man, this man deserves a lot of criticism, but he is not the sole reason. I mean, Jacob Schaffelberg and the 2 yellows, I've said multiple times he was a disaster this entire Gold Cup. Some Canadians were like, oh, you're being too harsh on him. What about now? Y'all still think I'm being too harsh on him? Now, the fact still remains that Canada, down a man, had to survive for 45 minutes against Guatemala, right? With all due respect to Guatemala, I'm getting to them next. For Canada to be unable to dig deep and hold on for 45 with a lead, that's an L again. And I think Jesse Marsh and some of the substitutions he made plays a part in that. And for many Canadians, maybe even all Canadians, this honeymoon phase with Marsh is over. And I think he is under a lot of pressure now. I mean, things change really quick in the world of football. You go from, the Messiah returning to Canadian soil, the North will rise again after the Copa America, to should we sack him? Like, there are some Canadians I'm seeing online saying we should sack Marsh. That's crazy to me. Every coach deserves to have bad games, and he's got credit in the bank to survive this. But the turnaround needs to be immediate. I don't know. I think y'all's next game is against Colombia in a friendly. That can't be an embarrassing result. And honestly, Marsh could really do with 3 points there. There might be another game in between there, but I'll preview that when we get closer to that. If I'm Canadian, I'm really, really worried how this team tends to perform when there is pressure, when there is expectations. And this is something that hopefully some Canadians, if you really go into, deep self-reflective thought, an hour-long meditation session, hopefully you'll get a little bit more respect for how the United States and Mexico have to bear this expectation and perform forever. They've been doing this for decades. Mexico's always had this pressure, and it can crush you. And so far, it seems to be crushing this group of Canadian players. They are much better when they are the underdog, when they're out of the spotlight. But when everybody's pointing at them saying, you guys should win this tournament or you guys have to make the final, it hasn't been great so far. So there's a lot of question marks. This Canadian generation, they're not failures. Are they frauds? I mean, that's too early to say. We have to wait until the World Cup. But winning this Gold Cup could have given them some protection at the next World Cup. And that ship has sailed. It was bombed in the harbor. It's at the bottom of the ocean. Now, from Guatemala, the darling story continues. I think they're the best feel-good story of the Gold Cup, hands down. They've made their first semifinal since 1996. And if you look at their games, they've genuinely played 4 very solid matches. Are they like 10 out of 10 games? No, I don't think they've been 10 out of 10. I don't think they were 10 out of 10 against Jamaica. I don't think they were 10 out of 10 against Guadeloupe, or even beating Canada, yesterday. Because Canada did have several chances when it was 11v11. So the Guatemalans haven't been immaculate, but they've been putting in just like steady Eddie 7.5 performances every single time. And you know what? The opposition that they're playing can't match that. Only Panama was able to match that. Everybody else, they're a 10 out of 10 one game, and then they just come crashing down. They're 3 out of 10 the next. And Guatemala's like, okay, well, we're just going to do our thing. And if you don't show up, we're going to beat you. Canada showed up, started hot, made some mental mistakes, lose on penalties. It is what it is. And I got to give a special shout out to the Guatemalan keeper, because when Nicholas Hagen was confirmed out, I was like, this is bad. I'm a big Hagen fan. Obviously one of the more popular players for the Guatemalan side. And I thought, oh man, is this the nail in the coffin? Is Guatemala cooked now? Can they really upset Canada without him? Well, not only can they upset Canada without him, they can win a penalty shootout. They can win a penalty shootout with the backup goalkeeper. It has been an amazing story. And that equalizer header from Ruben, grown man header. Him, Lom, Santis have been so good. But the one thing that has just flabbergasted me, if I may use an SAT word, is the defense from Guatemala. I think it's been fantastic. I think it has been so much higher than what my expectations were. You look at the numbers, 4 goals conceded through 4 games. Okay, 1 per game. Maybe it's not the greatest defensive stat ever that we've seen in CONCACAF. But look at who they've played. Canada, Jamaica, Panama, and Guadeloupe. What do those 4 teams have in common? Really good offenses. Oh, hold on. I don't know if Jamaica's really good, but scary offenses. Canada, Panama, Guadeloupe. Shooters everywhere. Jamaica, they still have talent. They just can't put it together. It's like a Rubik's Cube that will never be solved. And they're conceding 1 goal a game. Guatemala, that's crazy because I've been seeing the Guatemalan. Shout out to y'all. Y'all are really supporting this team, and, you can see what it means to everybody at the full time. Again, the story of the Gold Cup. Honduras is kind of on a redemption arc, but Guatemala is like whoa, this is pretty epic. But anyways, I feel like Guatemalans have been telling me, like, in the past year, we look really good and we're building towards something. And I don't necessarily disagree. I think that's a true statement. But I don't think y'all have been building like this. I don't think if you look at Guatemala in the last year, you say, man, defensively, tough as nails. Guatemala's been winning some shootouts in some games. They're eating 3 against Jamaica. They're eating 3 against Costa Rica. Oh, there was another bad team that scored 2 goals against them or scored 1 goal. I think Guatemala wins 2-1. Anyways, I know there's context there. I know the Jamaica game was rotated, but what I'm trying to say is I just didn't expect Guatemala to be this good defensively. They're really not conceding too many great chances. And it feels like this is suddenly happening, and I don't have an explanation. Samayoa, Pinto, and Herrera have been beasts. That's really the only thing I can point to is like, the players that just leveled up for this tournament. They just showed up, no fear of death, ready to go. And Guatemala's benefiting from that immensely. I mean, Herrera had the clearance from a Oluwaseyi header, I think it was, off the post. Or not, it was going on goal, and then he headers it up behind for a corner kick. I mean, just buried his penalty too. Like, dude, the back line has been absolutely insane. Now, did Guatemala get a little bit fortunate in this game? To play devil's advocate, let's not just gas up positive. Did they get a little bit lucky in that there's no extra time? I don't know if it was the straight to penalties that helped them, but of course they're playing up a man. And Guatemala, if you're down a man against Guatemala, this team has enough tools to hurt you, and they almost won it late in regular time before penalties. Santis has a shot that goes just narrowly wide. So, like, did they get a little lucky? I mean, the haters will say that this was lucky. I think there was a little bit of fortune, but I think everybody, when you make a dark horse run, or even when you go deep in tournaments, everybody gets fortunate. So I don't think that's something you can use to discredit what Guatemala has done so far. I think they've been really, really impressive. And I think in the next round, this is a scary team for the U.S. men's national team, not because I think Guatemala has, like, the perfect kryptonite to the Clark Kent that is Max Arfston, but because there is no extra time. Could Guatemala really lock it down against the U.S. for 120 minutes? Personally, I don't think so. But could they do it for 90? Yeah, they could do it for 90. And that's why they're scary. In this team, you want to talk about self-belief, maybe an all-time high for the Guatemalans. Moving on to the next game, United States beating Costa Rica was 2-2 at the end of regulation. U.S. goes on to win on penalties. I'm going to start with Costa Rica. And, bro, it happened again. It happened again. Another Gold Cup, another tournament where Costa Rica doesn't really push for the title. Another quarterfinal exit. And what bothers me about Costa Rica is they're always so close. Like, when I think of all the eliminations they've had, they never get bodied. They never get blown out. It's never an embarrassment. But it is L after L after L. And I think if you look at this game in particular, this is a huge missed opportunity for Costa Rica. And I get to their overall campaign, but I don't think you can say this was successful. You're playing this game, and you basically get gifted a penalty early on. Francisco Calvo steps up, all-time Costa Rican best 11, steps up, puts it away. And so you end up going ahead, and the United States battle back, and then Costa Rica equalized through Martinez. And then there's a couple good opportunities for Costa Rica to win it late. It goes to penalties, and you're thinking, okay, Freese versus Keylor Navas? Costa Rica got this in the bag. And then that's how you lose? It's just another example of the Gold Cup circumventing at least my expectations. Because I said, if this doesn't go to penalties, U.S. wins. If it goes to penalties, Costa Rica win. And it goes to penalties, and the United States win. And it's like, bro, you got Keylor Navas in goal. I know he's old, but it's like, it kind of felt like the stars aligned a little bit for Costa Rica here. They didn't lose in the group stage. Gave Mexico a decent game. And it looked like this was, you go up early, and I'm thinking like, oh my God, I'm at the airport, mind you. I'm full fault mode, merchant mode. I'm just watching the live ticker, and I'm like, oh my God, Piojo's gonna do this. Costa Rica are good defensive. They're gonna lock it down and sit back, and I don't know if it's because Jalen Mitchell wasn't there, but it just wasn't great, and it's another squandered opportunity. And if I'm Costa Rican, I'm so frustrated, man, because how does my team ball out so hard when it is a Copa America or when it is a World Cup? And in my own tournaments, we can't even do anything, y'all. Y'all want the hard truth? Costa Rica have one knockout win in the last 8 tournaments. And when I say tournaments, I mean the Gold Cup. They have one knockout win in the last 8 Gold Cups. Put another way, they have 1 win and 7 losses in the last 8 quarterfinals. They have 1 win and 7 losses. That is unacceptable. This is Costa Rica we're talking about. These are the guys who historically are a top 4 side in CONCACAF. But where is it? We ain't seen a damn thing since 1985, bro. Where is it? Lately, it has been fraudulent. Again, imagine if I removed Costa Rica and I put Panama or Honduras or Jamaica or Canada. We would be laughing at these guys every single day. But it's Costa Rica. I feel like they're a bit out of the radar, so nobody brings this up. But, you got to start doing something in this tournament. Here are the teams that they've lost to in the quarterfinals in order. United States, Mexico, Canada, Mexico, United States, Mexico, Honduras, Honduras. So, in those 7 losses, 2 of them are against Honduras and 1 of them is against Canada. That was 2019 or 2021 Canada. So it was they were starting to build something under John Herdman. And 2 losses back-to-back to Honduras. What is going on here, man? Why can they not get it over the line? Their 1 quarterfinal win was 2017 against Panama. That's their 1 victory. So they haven't even killed a good team in the Gold Cup in decades. Decades. It's insane to me. And now Miguel Herrera is another manager who just couldn't quite figure it out. And was this a bad Gold Cup for Costa Rica? I mean, Costa Ricans, comment down below. Everybody comment down below. Honestly, I have no freaking clue. There were a couple good moments. There are a couple bad moments. The word that I would use is unsatisfactory. That is the one word I would use to describe this campaign. Unsatisfactory. It should and could have been more, and it wasn't. And is that completely Piojo's fault? No, because nobody else has been able to do it. And this team is young, especially in the attack. There are pieces here. They will get another opportunity. But if they want to compete with that 2010s Costa Rican generation, I'm going to need to start seeing wins. I need to start seeing wins against good teams. We cannot just keep talking about the draw against Brazil at the last Copa America. You need to start beating some other good teams because since the last Copa America, it really hasn't been much. And so, again, if you want to go band for band with the Costa Rican greats, this generation, I truly think, does have the potential to match their output in international tournaments. But you need to get started, and you need to get started now. And lastly, I'll wrap up talking about the United States. I think this is a big win. I do, because many people said Costa Rica were going to win this game. I think this was probably the most popular upset pick based on my comment section and everything I saw online was Costa Rica beating the U.S. This was the upset that most people were betting their money on. And I thought going to penalties was a death sentence for the United States, and it wasn't. So they won in what I would have considered the most unlikely of circumstances. And for Pochettino especially, he needed this. He needed this. Going out in the Gold Cup quarterfinals, really against anybody, is a huge L for the United States. But against Costa Rica at home with Piojo as manager, former Mexican manager, Mexican man as managing Costa Rica, it could have spelled the end for Poch. It could have resulted in him being sacked if he did not win a knockout game. Now, does Pochettino gain anything through this win? Honestly, y'all, he earns another game. He earned another game in charge. I think that's the biggest positive for him. I don't really know if any American fans saw that performance and were like, oh, captain, my captain. I think he really just bought himself a little bit more time. And I think for Pochettino to walk away from the Gold Cup with any sort of stock up, you have to win. Making the final and losing to Mexico even, I don't know if it gets him anything. Maybe if Mexico win on pens and it's a 2-2 and it's a good game, maybe we say, if the A-team guys were here, U.S. would have won the tournament. That's what people will be saying. I know many accounts that will be putting out that propaganda were that to go down and commence. And ironically, this has actually created a even more perilous situation in a way, because if you lose to Costa Rica, there are those who subscribe to the faith, who know that Costa Rica are a good team in CONCACAF, and losing to Costa Rica, a team that all time has a very even record with the United States, some people could swallow that pill. But now you're playing Guatemala. You're not playing Canada in the semifinals. And what happens if Guatemala knock out the United States? I again think a lot of people are looking at Mauricio Pochettino and they will say, sack him. I think that will be maybe not the unanimous. I don't think it will be even the popular sentiment. But, if they're a minority in Congress right now, they're gaining a couple more seats. I would say they're gaining like 15 more seats if Guatemala knocks out the United States. Because now we're talking about like another just incredibly embarrassing loss. And that's no shade to Guatemala. Like, U.S. fans will see that as a huge freaking embarrassment. And in ways it would be. Given all the context, the hype, expectations, hosting a World Cup, it would be. And so, again, if Pochettino wins that next semifinal, does he gain anything? He gets one more game, bro. It is what it is. And then there's probably some other U.S. fans who are like, this entire tournament is just moot. Who cares? We don't have our guys here. Alex Freeman probably isn't making the World Cup squad. Max Arfston is not going to be the starting left back. Ajimong will not make the World Cup roster. Maybe he will. Maybe Poch likes him. I don't know. And they're just like, hey, this whole thing might as well not even be happening. Which I hate that mentality, and I think it ruins the Gold Cup. And I do think the United States is the number one culprit in killing the Gold Cup. Like, it definitely is how U.S. soccer approaches this, the fact that it's hosted here, the fact that fan interest is low. It is. It is. I don't want to go into that anymore. I'll make a separate video about that. I did just want to focus on this game, but I think it was important for Pochettino, and I think it was important for this group of players to say, like, okay, we just took down a good CONCACAF side. Like, we should gain some confidence from that. But it all comes crumbling down if they don't get it done against Guatemala. There is huge pressure, very little to gain. There won't be anything to gain anymore unless they beat Mexico. I mean, honestly, if Honduras upsets Mexico and makes the final, then I still think, like, the U.S. is just walking through a landmine field at that point. And if they step on something, they're done. Your legs going flying off. So, anyways, that's all I want to say about the game. Like I said, I didn't get to watch it, so I'm not going to give you all a tactical breakdown. You guys let me know your thoughts, your takeaways, I should say, from the quarterfinals, the final quarterfinals down below in the comments. If you guys enjoyed, make sure you smash the like button. Again, I appreciate you guys helping us get to 18K here on the channel. There will be a live stream for at least one of the semifinals. Not sure yet which one. Make sure you're following us on Twitter. I appreciate you guys for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one.